Live from the Motor City, all the way to the Volunteer State. It's time for the Reckless Speculation Podcast, where we recklessly speculate the latest news in the world of sports. From college football to NASCAR, we've got you covered. And don't forget to stick around for the world-famous Bet Your Nuts, where we will give you your best bets to make the most money. Now sit back, grab your favorite drink of choice, and join Robbie Davis, Raj Mehta, Brandon Chain, and Tom Sloan. It's showtime.
And welcome everybody to the August 3rd edition of Reckless Speculation. We are doing a little switch up tonight. My name is Raj, and I'm going to host tonight. Just starting off, I don't understand why in the intro pictures, Brandon Chain gets to look like a playboy and the rest of us look like how we normally look. But anyway, before I go on real quick, I want to thank our sponsors straight up, C&W Construction, who are just phenomenal construction engineers. And they have a long line because they have 5 stars. And even if you don't use them, go on Google and give them 5 stars. Trust me, it'll help you out in the long run. Wow, look at that trellis. Next would be Davis, Kessler, and Davis, Chattanooga's premier personal injury law firm. Wonderful photo, including the gentleman that is photoshopped on the far right. But Mr. Robert Davis, who's on our panel, along with that cat, they were both on a billboard in Chattanooga, which is very cool. And finally, we are powered by Jack, who isn't. But yeah, that's good stuff. And you're going to see right away that we are powered by Jack, literally and figuratively. Before I go even further, you can find us on Facebook Live. It's recorded on our Facebook page, Apple, YouTube, Spotify, Gratify, Alibi. And speaking of Alibi, we're going to start out with introducing our resident attorney, a gentleman who prevailed in a very big law case here in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Congratulations to Mr. Robert Davis. What's up, Rob?
Hey, man, if you can plant evidence somewhere, you can plant a Photoshop person in any kind of advertisement. So that's what we're getting there. It's what appears to be real is not real.
So what you're saying is the police did that picture is what you're telling us.
I'm not going to say it's not. But yes, hey, thanks for having me, man. Good to be here. I'm glad you're hosting. I'm glad to be a talking head this week. Yeah,
you're probably better at that. Coming up next, we are going to the Barbie of the show, not the Ken, the prettiest of the 4 of us, Mr. Brandon Chain of C&W Construction. Chain, how are you?
I'm good. I don't know how that picture got up there. Thanks, Tom, but I do look like the biggest douche out of the 4 of us, so we're going to have to change that photo.
Look, dude, we're talking about Sean Payton later. You're a better looking Sean Payton, man. You're a less assholey Sean Payton.
I'm usually Sean McVay is what I get more than Sean.
Yeah, you are. But now that I'm looking at Sean Payton, and you do kind of talk some shit like he did, so you guys are brothers, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'd go with you as the middle brother.
A giant compared to y'all. I need to shrink down.
Yeah, what are you doing up there? Are you sitting on a booster seat, Robbie?
Yeah.
He's on a booster.
I have to put my chair low because I'm not 13. But anyways, finally, we are going to our producer extraordinaire, introducing a man with a boat all the way from Newtown, Mr. Thomas and/or Tom Sloan. Tom, how are you?
God, I tell you that may have been the funniest intro we've ever had. And for the record, we've said it before. Robbie doesn't have much of a social media presence, so there aren't many pictures of Robbie on the internet. You either, Raj. So that's what I'm working with. That's what I'm working with. So had to do a little trolling, and it turned out the only one that had any, model-esque looking poses.
Hey,
was
anything
Brandon.
was better than my rabbit photo. Anything was better than that.
I mean, I guess it's a good thing that Rob and I don't have us posing in a model-esque form with a nice tight fade and a bow tie on. But
that was at a wedding, and I don't know who took that picture and tagged me in it, but somehow ended up on my social media page.
It's Nashville, bro. You don't have to explain anything.
Yeah, I'm not sure any of us have a strong social media presence.
I used to, but I stopped looking good like 13 years ago, so it is tough to find. You got to troll. So tonight we're basically going to talk about football. We may touch on some other things, but we're going to start with the NFL with a couple of controversies, and we're actually going to delve in, as you see to your left, after college football and the preeminent conference in the history of the world, the Big Ten, which I am a proud future member of as I represent USC. We're finally going to start touching on fantasy football. If you've had your draft already, you're a dumb shit. We've already talked about this. 2 weeks or less, injuries aside, it's just stupid. Otherwise, depth charts don't come out. I mean, tonight is the first semblance of NFL, and I know we all can't wait for the Hall of Fame game. Yeah, I mean, we can't wait for it to start, and then I watch 11 minutes of it, and I'm like, okay, let's start week one. But anyways, we're going to jump right in. We've talked a lot about the most devalued position in the NFL, aside from kicker and punter, which is running back. And this week we've had a very odd set of circumstances and drama played, primarily from a stupid nature boy / and I would never demean Ric Flair because he's a god, but kind of like a Vince McMahon Ric Flair reject, and that's Jim Irsay. Tom, let's start with you. What do you make of his comments this week and the way that he's handled the discussions and his prize offensive, if not overall player, in Jonathan Taylor?
Completely wrong. Those are two words that come to my mind. To come out in public and say the comment that he made, if I were to die, nobody would remember us, or whatever the case was in that situation. I just think that it's kind of telling Jonathan Taylor that I don't value you at all. I don't care what you've done for me. We haven't won, and I'm not going to sit here and think that because you want to trade, I'm going to appease you, which I think that'll create a lot more issues with other players on that team. So I think he just handled it completely wrong. Let's not sugarcoat it. Jim Irsay has a history of alcohol issues. His face will tell you that because it's as red as the jersey behind me. So
he's got permanent sunburn. And for those that don't know, he's had a number of issues, including in 2014 getting pulled over with 29 G's in cash in a briefcase inside of a bag and a number of prescription pills. Now, we're not judging any of that shit, but before you start tossing out what he's saying, let alone about kids on his team that help him out. Mm-hmm. And again, as a host, I swear a lot more than Rob as a motherfucker who inherited everything from his dad, who started a heating and air conditioning business. He's done nothing. I believe the 21st most valued or valuable individual or franchise in the NFL. I mean, to me, and I'm going to go to Brandon here, it seems as if he's setting a market the way he says things. We had a CBA, we have this, and, he drafts a rookie quarterback for a reason. But I've never quite seen an approach like this where the guy challenges or sets the bar by use of his own player. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's been done before, but probably just not publicly. And I think that's the issue that everyone's having here. The running back market is not great right now, as we all know. I think that plays a lot into it, and maybe that's what made him feel more comfortable saying it publicly, which is just asinine in itself. But you're, as a business owner, you're only as good as the people around you, right? You're only as good as your team, and the market for running back seems to have taken a back seat as of late, and some of these greats are not as rewarded as they should be.
But you're a business owner. Would you ever call out one of your employees and say, "Oh yeah, this is"?
No, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, absolutely not. No, you build them up and you encourage and work towards a common goal. But to do that is saying that he's, he can replace him in any given point. He can draft or free agent or whatever. And in saying that, he's not necessarily wrong, but to do it publicly is terrible. And I don't see how someone could do that to, a guy that's put so much for that team. And, I guess he's still on his rookie contract, and it's not a good look at all for Irsay. He's just spiraling downward.
Before I go on to Rob, what's next? Like, what's the best case scenario here?
God,
I gave you the hard
for
question.
the Colts, or for Taylor.
Irsay, Taylor. Like, I just was thinking, where do you go from here?
That's tough. I mean, because you still have some pretty good free agents out there to sign. I mean, you could do a one-year deal with. So I think it's up to Taylor's agent to get in a room and really work this thing out and figure out what's going on. If he could sustain being with the Colts, I think they got a good shot with him there. But obviously, he does not like where he's at. And I could see him sitting out.
And that's a great transition, because Irsay actually tweeted that we negotiated a CBA, blah, 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 to say now that a specific player category wants another negotiation after the fact is inappropriate. Rob, exactly. First, he said that some agents are selling bad faith. A bit twisted by a great Colts reporter or NFL reporter in general. Is he just deflecting blame here, Rob? Is this a CBA issue? Legally, do you letter of the law? Do you side with Irsay, but don't like the way he handled it, or what is going on at this point?
Yeah. So legally, and let's take this in a small kind of prism. Jim Irsay is right that you can't collectively bargain inside a collectively bargain agreement. That's just because then those groups hurt the other partners of that collective bargain agreement. So, this whole running back thing, that's just nonsense. So he's right on that. What I don't get from what Irsay's doing is, all right, so look, I do get, hey, running back positions undervalued, but I don't get this kind of flaunting in front of your players, your employees, that you don't care, right? So there was a story that, Jonathan Taylor makes $4.3 million coming out next year. That's a lot of money to most people. It's not to NFL players. And Irsay spent $20 million, allegedly, to move a well from Miami to LA for some kind of Pacific Ocean preservation thing. Like, that's so tone deaf during these negotiations. Like, at some point, between the Texans and the Colts, those two owners are so stupid. Like at some point, you have to recruit. It's not college football, but at some point, you have to recruit players to want to come play with you. And you're both small markets. The AFC South is all small markets. So owners have to give people reasons to come play there. And Irsay is doing none of that between Payton, Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck retired at 29 because Irsay wouldn't give him protection to save his life. Literally, save his life. Like, that guy is a horrible owner. And the Texans, you see that, like, it's just a bad situation. And, yeah, I mean, I'm on Taylor's side of this, even though he's on the weak negotiating standpoint of this. Irsay is just a terrible owner, and he was the one talking the most bleak about Snyder. And hey, Irsay, I have a drinking problem. I'm fine with that. He had a pill problem, and I also don't own $1 billion franchise. Like,
Speaking of that, Rob, they're suing Jim Irsay. The Washington Commanders are suing Jim Irsay for his comments that were made.
Oh, I imagine.
You also didn't have a mistress who we don't know why
easy now.
At his house, Yeah. And I want to delve further, layperson wise, into collective bargaining. Isn't it? The definition to me is something more official, and he seemed to take the running backs on a texting thread as collective bargaining. I didn't think there was some kind of semblance of official collective bargaining. Now, I'm not saying we need a union or something, but is what the running backs did together wrong? Because he seemed to use that against them. Did he not?
I think he tried to, but again, like, he's a loose cannon. Like, the owners, like, Roger Goodell speaks for them. DeMaurice Smith spoke for the players. They came to an agreement. So you can't like it couldn't be like the AFC South or NFC North, or they can't come to their own collective bargaining agreement and say we're going to form an alliance and then we'll negotiate. That's just not how it works. And so Jim Irsay, he's rich, but he's also an idiot, in my opinion. And rich people many times are idiots. And he's had two, like, he's been Green Bay. He's had Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck, two generational talents, and has won one Super Bowl. That's how bad he is as an owner.
That's a good transition, because speaking of someone who is rich and largely considered right now out of nowhere to be an idiot, that would be the former New Orleans Saints and now Denver Donkey. Oh, excuse me. As a born and raised in Los Angeles, a Raider fan, I hate Denver because John Elway ripped my heart out, primarily with less than 2 minutes left, about 8 million times. But regardless, Sean Payton, out of nowhere, just comes out and essentially says, as producer extraordinaire will lay it down right here, and I'm paraphrasing, but the previous regime had one of the worst coaching jobs, or he said one of the worst coaching jobs in the history of the NFL. And there were 20 dirty hands around quarterback, dirty hands, Russell Wilson. What in the hell? I'm going to start there. Tom, dirty hands. What the hell does he mean by 20 dirty hands?
That's a good one. I don't know. And I think Aaron Rodgers kind of summed it up nicely, where he kind of laid the groundwork for maybe if they don't succeed, hey, this is the reason why, because look at what I was handed over the offseason. So I do have a video here of Aaron Rodgers that I want to play. And I really think this sums up the situation. Not a big Aaron Rodgers fan, but I kind of agree with him on this one.
About Sean Payton's comments directly, but I will ask you to maybe address Nathaniel Hackett as a coach and what he means to you and what he can bring to this Jets team. That story goes out there. I had about 1 million texts from people in the coaching community saying that was out of line. Yet you see Hackett out here, he's still pumped up. I don't think it affects him as much as maybe it affects everyone on the outside, and yet you and him have this great bond and union together where you've always had his back, he's always had yours.
Yeah, I love Nathaniel Hackett, and those comments were very surprising. For a coach to do that to another coach. My love for Hack goes deep. You know, we had some great years together in Green Bay, kept in touch. Love him and his family. He's an incredible family man, incredible dad. And on the field, you know, he's arguably my favorite coach I've ever had in the NFL. Just his approach to it, how he makes it fun, how he cares about the guys, just how he goes about his business with respect, with leadership, with honesty, with integrity. And it made me feel bad that someone who's accomplished a lot in the league is that insecure that they have to take another man down to set themselves up for some sort of easy fall if it doesn't go well for that team this year. Thought it was way out of line and inappropriate, and I think he needs to keep my coach's names out of his mouth.
Yeah, I mean,
quarterback, man. That's my quarterback.
Yeah, he summed it up, and you knew that Rodgers was going to defend Hackett. He had his greatest season as a pro under Nathaniel Hackett being the OC in Green Bay. So I agree. I think Payton got a little bit big for his britches in this situation, and he did walk it back, which, you know, he owned up to it. But yeah, just not a good look for Payton, and I got to side with Aaron Rodgers here.
Well, Shane, there's a code that has been mentioned multiple times from other coaches. This goes along the same lines. What is that code that they're referring to? And if so, why would Sean Payton say what he said?
Yeah, the code, I mean, you don't talk shit about other people like that on camera in public. Like it just looks really bad.
Is he sandbagging like for Denver?
I really think that summed it up. Like what Rodgers said, maybe he's setting himself up for an easy fall. Like if they do fail, but at the same time, it's like he's blaming everything on coaching. Well, he's there now and he's got the same talent. Like he should do 10 times better, right? According to his word. So we'll see. Like he's a great coach, but I never thought I would hear him say anything like this. He's never been that guy, right? And then all of a sudden, I don't know if it's because he's been out of the spotlight for so long, as far as getting media prep and ask these tough questions, because he's been sitting behind a booth. But it was off-putting, for everyone involved. And let's be honest here, Russell Wilson looked terrible last year, and it wasn't just the coaching. So I'll just throw that out there. I think he was overrated. That was one of the worst trade deals and payments I've ever seen in football.
He also lost his best friend, who was his trainer, I think 5 weeks before the season started. Somebody that had worked with him for 15 years. So I think that came into effect with Russell Wilson. So, but yeah, it was a horrible season for him.
No, it was. It was very unlike him, because he excelled in Seattle. He was one of the top 8 quarterbacks in the league. So, and
Denver went out and signed Mike McGlinchey and Ben Powers to solidify that line. Two of the top. They probably overpaid for both, but is Russ, who is we were talking about quarterback being paid $48 million or something. is getting 2 new offensive linemen. Are we going to see some semblance of the old Russ? Now, for those that don't know, Tim Patrick, arguably Denver's best receiver, probably no consistent. Yeah, again, he got hurt and he's done for the year. Is he sandbagging? Is Russ going to have a Russ year, or is this just going to crash and burn?
I don't think he is, man. I think he's going to crash and burn personally. But go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, I was going to say this is either extreme confidence or extreme worry, right? So he's either saying, "Hey, I know this prior coach messed up, and we're going with this," but that would be so out of the box for a coach to throw another coach under the bus, which makes me think it's extreme paranoia and extreme worry that he's like, "Oh, I took this job. I'm the savior. Well, my quarterback may not have it anymore, and so now I'm going to blame it on somebody else." Because I was thinking back, I was like, I can't remember the last time any coach has ever thrown anyone under the bus, and
yeah, he could have done that tastefully after the season if he gets his butt kicked this year.
Yeah,
like, this was just crazy. Raj, you're on mute. Raj, you're on mute.
Hey, and that's why we're new at hosting. You said extreme confidence. I don't really call that confidence. I mean, if you're looking at,
I said it's either extreme confidence or extreme paranoia.
Well, I don't even see how it would be a semblance of extreme confidence, but that's neither here nor there. Maybe it is in real life. I mean, as I haven't been sick.
I'll explain it to you. If you're watching Russell Wilson in practice and he's the goods, and you're like, that coach really did F him up, and you're seeing this, you're like, yeah, I mean, I'm just telling the truth. But again, what coach says that? So I mean, if Sean Payton is arrogant. He's from that Bill Parcells coaching tree of, hey, we know we're good. We're good. Y'all all grew up in that era too. Like Parcells was
but so was Belichick, and he would never say that shit. And like I said,
Parcells would though. Belichick wouldn't.
I don't even know if he would. And side note,
saying something like that.
Yeah.
To me, it's just sandbagging. I'm trying to associate it with something. I haven't been single for decades, which is sad to say. Just the decades part, but like
there's always tomorrow.
It's not like looking at some fool and being like, "What was that?"
I said, "There's always tomorrow."
Dude, my wife has a countdown until our kid, who's 9, is 18. But that's neither here nor there. I mean, just to go out of your way to put someone else down, to me, reflects a significant amount of insecurity. But there's another angle here. And Tom, I think you have a graphic on this that Mike Tomlin said. And I'm going to Rob specifically with this. Because to me, we're not conspiracy theorists per se, but let me guess, that's going to be a Thursday night game on Prime and everybody's going to watch it. Like, are they following a playbook here and we're all suckers? Because I usually wouldn't watch the Donkeys and the Jets at that point, 5 weeks in. Why does Mike Tomlin even say that?
So this is not scripted. I have on my notes, by week 4, we'll forget about all this. Now, I could be wrong. I think we will, but Mike Tomlin could be right. It could be all this play. And I don't think sports are scripted. I do think there's an entertainment factor in them. Mm-hmm. And so this could be one of those things like, hey, Aaron Rodgers is going to New York. Let's call some drama. It could be. I don't know. But I don't think it's scripted, but it will be interesting to see. Obviously, they're going to flex this game to the highest place they can get it. But But hey, Tomlin's no idiot. Tomlin's probably the most front forward person in the NFL. Like, if he says it, there is smoke there for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you remember last year with Russell, who was his first game? First week, Denver against Seattle. So, I mean, this could be a little bit of hype, a little preseason hype for a game that normally really wouldn't mean a whole lot. But newsflash, the former head coach is the OC. So it's very intriguing, very intriguing.
Absolutely. And, any press is good press, right? And you get talked about, you're in the headlines right now. People are going to mark this game on their calendar because of what's going on right now. They're going to watch this. So you probably, got another 10, 15% more viewers of what originally was going to watch the game. And, this hype around it, I'm anxious to watch it. I'm anxious to see, is Russell, was it just a coaching, blunder and then the whole Aaron Rodgers factor in New York. I mean, the Jets, they're one of my favorite teams this year with that defense and their weapons and Aaron. I mean, dude, they're going to be nasty. So
you just like their receiver.
Well, I mean, that's a given, but it's not just him.
And, he was being a bit cheeky there. The whole keep my name out of your mouth, like that goes way back, hip hop and everything.
Yeah, for sure.
It's recently been big, Tom, on TikTok. Yeah. And Rodgers is a Berkeley grad, very savvy, intelligent guy. So I think he knows exactly what he's doing. Am I right?
That was from Will Smith, right? To Chris Rock.
Yeah.
Keep
my wife's name out your mouth.
It goes way back. There was a rapper like that.
No, I know it does, but
you're right, absolutely. But that was like recently a trend on TikTok. I don't know if that's related to this shit or not, but I was just like, wow, like
Aaron Rodgers is he's cut from a different cloth. So I don't think anything he does is not calculated. So I there's no doubt in my mind he knew NFL Network was coming to town. There's been a couple other big name shows there, and he knew that was going to be the one thing that they were going to ask him. So he was prepared, and he knew what to say, when to say it. So he's a rare bird. So there's no question in my mind he had that planned out ahead of time.
For sure. But can we say, I want to say one thing real quick.
No.
Can we talk about, he gave up $35 million to solidify his O-line here.
What does that say about the Packers?
What does that say about the Packers when he wanted to take from them and what they wouldn't give up and what the Jets are willing to do for him? I think dude, I'm all in on this Jets team.
And that was my next
what they're building right here.
No, I'm sorry to cut you off because that was my next question, and it was for you. Exactly that. And then he kind of said, this is like my favorite coach ever type thing.
Yeah. Hackett. Yeah.
But yeah, that's absolutely
dude, and that speaks volumes.
Aaron Rodgers gave up part of his ego for a team. Yeah. What the fuck is happening? That's never fucking happened.
Take this, 2 years back, where he is just raping Green Bay and getting as much as he possibly can squeeze.
$50 million
from them. And he gets all of it. And everyone else, they have to trade everyone else away pretty much. And they can't sign anybody but, old vets that are on their last leg. And
then blames them for not, building around him.
Yeah. And then he comes to the Jets first year, gets a deal, and then gives up $35 million because he believes in this team. I'm telling you, he's a weird dude, but he's also a very smart dude. And I think he knows he's got a real shot here. And I'm with that. I love this Jets team, dude. It's one of my
Brandon's going to draft Aaron Rodgers first round. I love it.
I don't think he's the one we have to worry about. Final question, Rob. Number one, what about Zach Wilson? That's A. B, have the Jets done way too much? Aside from him giving up $35 million, did he do it for the team, or did he do it so they could sign Lazard and Cobb and other guys just to make him happy? So number one, or A, Zach Wilson. B, is he really doing this for the team, or is he doing it to make himself feel comfortable?
So with A, Zach Wilson, we said this during draft day. They made a mistake, and he's not an NFL quarterback. He's a backup. He's going to always be a backup. That's fine. You can make a great living being a backup quarterback. I wish I could do that. He's just not starting quality.
His mom would be more famous than him. Sorry.
Yeah. Aaron Rodgers.
MILF.
Aaron Rodgers. So, as most people know, the Packers organization is structured very weird. There's no owner, there's shareholders. This is the first time I think Aaron Rodgers has gotten into a owner dynamic where, hey, let's talk about how the salary cap works. While the Packers still have a general manager, they don't have an owner that wants to win that badly. So I think this is a new thing for Aaron Rodgers. I think he saw Tom Brady. Look, Aaron Rodgers is a weird guy. We all know that. But he's still a professional athlete. He still wants to win. He saw what Tom Brady did. And even though no one else sees Aaron in Tom Brady's eyes, Aaron sees himself in Tom Brady's eyes. And so he says, hey, Tom Brady went to a different team and won. I want to do that, even though he'll only have two, but he'll still have the two teams and one. I think that's kind of where his mindset is.
Very good point.
No, I agree absolutely, and that's a great point. By the way, just looking at the 2021 draft, we tend to, we always state this about measurables in the combine. He can do this and that. Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, number 2 and number 3. Kyle Pitts, number 5 was Jamar Chase, arguably the best or second best receiver in the league. At number 7, Tom, who was picked for the Detroit Lions.
In 21, Penei Sewell.
And I would rate him as probably one of the best tackles in the league. Top 5 or 10 for sure. The point being, Patrick Surtain.
He's a great pass catcher, too.
Absolutely. He scored at least 1 or 2. Rashawn Slater, Vera Tucker for the Jets, Devontae Smith, Justin Fields, and finally at number 12 was probably the best defensive player in the league, and Micah Parsons. It's just funny to me that the Jets at 2 are relevant right now and very good, and they blew that number 2 pick just 2 years ago.
I don't think they're going to be very good, guys.
Why do you say that?
Because what you said, you can't continuously blow draft picks and then all of a sudden say you're going to get an old quarterback and be good. I don't think that.
Well, they were pretty damn good last year. Their defense was phenomenal. They were
a quarterback away.
They were a quarterback away. So if you just look at the eye test of what they were last year and then add the pieces they added,
dude, that division is so tough. Miami, New England.
Dude, they will blow Miami's brakes off.
This is 20 years of proof of Rob Theory.
I can't wait for our NFL preview. I'll take
20 years
New York.
Of proof of Rob's theory of failed draft picks.
Yes. You can't keep missing and then be like, oh, yeah, we're good because we're going to go on free agents.
Yeah. And unfortunately, a lot of us are glass half empty guys, and we're pretty good, but you can't help but think, what if? And what if the Jets didn't freaking blow the number 2 pick overall? And again, they got Vera Tucker at 12, a USC guy, of course. God, who knows who they could have gotten? You put Micah Parsons, what if? But sure. They thought he was their franchise, and instead they sign a 40-year-old quarterback.
Yeah. So dumb teams don't stop doing dumb things because you all of a sudden do one smart thing. No, you're still a dumb organization. The Jets are a dumb organization.
I'm writing that down because that's
I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you, but
That needs to be a meme.
like I said, if you look at what they
Look,
had
look, look.
last
Hey,
year,
Tom, I'm looking to you, season ticket holder. Dumb teams don't stop being dumb. Just because they do one thing right.
it's another.
Hey.
Here's the thing about the NFL is you can literally change overnight. Like you literally can. This isn't college.
Brandon, you say that.
can
Say it.
I don't know, dude. I
Hey,
think
Brandon, you say it. Who's the worst owner that's won a Super Bowl?
The worst owner that's won a Super Bowl?
Yeah, who's the worst organization that's won a Super Bowl?
the Raiders were once a good organization. Shut your mouth.
The Colts?
I would go with the Colts. Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah,
say
and they had
it's-
Peyton Manning, a generational talent.
Sure.
Yeah, so it's ownership. Like in the NFL, ownership matters.
But they still won a Super Bowl. But you're gonna get to that peak eventually, right?
Like
So
They
I
probably
think
should have won
this
more,
year's the
though.
year for the Jets.
the Colts should have won many
Several.
more.
Sure.
Side note, one of the best weekends of my life, sports-wise, was seeing USC beat Notre Dame at Notre Dame, which is an amazing game day. Went to LA, flew back into Indianapolis, and saw the Raiders win with Rich Gannon, Sunday Night Football against the Colts and Peyton Manning. Awesome. But the most awesome part was it was the first time I saw someone doing an air guitar to the national anthem. Kudos to you, Indianapolis Colts fan. I've never seen an air guitar done to the national anthem, and this guy fucking killed it. And it was just the cap. I was like, yes. And then we won that game on Sunday Night Football with Rich Gannon, a great free agent signing. But yeah,
I've never been to Indy. I've heard it's a great sports town.
It is.
Great city.
I'm
So
on,
underrated.
I'm on the wait list for Taylor Swift tickets 2024.
Oh,
so
God.
we'll see how that works out.
And you guys know that I was fortunate enough to be hooked up for the COVID NCAA tournament, and I think it should be held in Indianapolis every year. All 4 venues were right there, walking distance from where I stayed. Really, Butler, the gym, was like a 7-minute Uber ride, but everything was right there. And
What
it
a
was
good transition. Let's get
flat
to
out
Big Ten.
amazing as we move on to the University of Indiana. Wait, are they still in the Big Ten? We should kick those fuckers out. But at least in football. But no, moving on to college football, the Big Ten expansion. Oh, where to start here? You've got an extremely progressive, pioneering league with Kevin Warren, who's now the president and CEO of the Chicago Bears. But he was the one that went to USC and UCLA after the joke of the Pac-12. Quickly, I'm just going to state that, right now it's projected the media rights deal with the Big Ten that USC and UCLA could get upwards of 100 to 110 million. Under the Pac-12 deal, the media rights deal that tennis Larry Scott signed, which was a 12-year deal without negotiating like privileges years ago, the max they would have gotten was like 29 or 30 million. Being said, now let me say this first. I'm going to go to Tom last on this. Shane, at first, the Big Ten and their presidents, they kind of said, okay, we got USC, UCLA, but we're not ready for anyone else yet. Is that an accurate statement? And if so, why do you think that was?
I think it was just because of timing. Everything is up in the air right now. The divisions are all scrambling, trying to solidify their namesake or conference in this crazy free-for-all, if you will. But let's be honest, the Pac-12 is on a free fall downward, and they're dead. And now some of these bigger schools are trying to grab, or bigger conferences are trying to grab these bigger markets. And, hey, Big Ten's already got, USC, UCLA coming. Why not get Oregon, Washington? So, and that's what's happening here.
Well, 2 questions. Why didn't they do that before? That's my first question. When USC and UCLA joined, was it just because it was so novel? My second question for you would be, as a Big Ten purist and a fan for decades, what are your thoughts on this West Coast expansion?
I'm for it.
Why Oregon and Washington?
So why Oregon and Washington? Because they're big market. I mean, Oregon, obviously, Nike, the whole deal, big market. Washington as well. So now you really span across the country here. I love the whole West Coast side here.
But why not before?
Why not before?
Why didn't they do this before?
I think it's all situational, though. I mean, I think it started as the power conferences, SEC and Big Ten, were starting to grab and reach for people. All right, so they got the best team out of the Pac-12, which was USC. UCLA was added bonus with the Big Ten, and now they're seeing the demise of the Pac-12, and they're like, okay, there's a couple other markets that we can grab here. Let's go ahead and make a ploy for them. So I think that's what's happening. It's situational, and I could see them going to 20 teams eventually. The Pac-12 is done. Whatever teams don't get scooped up by the Big Ten or potentially
Big
12.
I
don't know if, I was going to say Big 12 would be the rest, and I don't think SEC is reaching out to the West Coast. So SEC is probably more focused on the East side, East Coast, Clemson, those teams. Notre Dame's never going anywhere, though. They're going to be this entity by themselves, and somehow they're going to get high-profile scheduled games.
And I'm going there next. Rob, why is Notre Dame still Notre Dame when it comes to everything? Licensing, isolationism. Why are they the only school, aside from carrying a religion, that can do whatever the fuck they want?
I'll answer that question in a second. So what I'm looking at right now is, and I know you guys hate my racing analogies, but this is the way I see it. The SEC is playing NASCAR and the Big Ten is playing Formula One. The Big Ten is saying we're going everywhere. We are going to expand our brand as much as we want. The SEC is trying to hunker down on their prime market. Yeah.
Well, and that was my next question for you was, did they shoot their shot? Did they blow their load with being overly regional with Oklahoma and Texas, where the Big Ten's going coast to coast?
Well, I still think it's interesting because I don't know the numbers, but I don't think Rutgers and Maryland's draws enough TV market to actually counteract it. But the SEC is boxed in now, so maybe they go down to Florida, but they already have Florida market. UNC to me is the big fish. And then I don't think Notre Dame really is as powerful a brand as y'all do. And y'all grew up with Michigan Notre Dame, USC Notre Dame. Where we grew up, it's just not like, I don't care what Notre Dame does. Now that would the SEC want them? Yes, for that, but
they're the only school who had a premium television network deal.
But if you get them, if you get Notre Dame, you have to break that TV deal and you have to pay for it. So UNC to me is the largest.
Not unless you're the Big Ten.
I guess I'm just worried that the SEC is just, and not that it matters really, because it's always going to be a two-team league, right? Or two-team sport, two-league sport. It's going to be the Big Ten, SEC, and then how many teams each conference has doesn't matter. But the SEC is falling a little bit behind, in my opinion.
And I'm going to move to you, Tom. This is a difficult subject to approach, and we had talked about this, but with the Big Ten there is a sense of academic standards, if you will. And there were thoughts of, an article I read of them moving east towards Virginia, who is, or their school is a top 1, 2, or 3 public school in America, beautiful campus, University of North Carolina, that there's sort of an academic integrity and standard that be maintained. The Big Ten was a pioneer in the sense that, it was Rutgers and Maryland, but they started expansion 10 years ago, right? 2013, 2011.
Nebraska.
Penn State.
Yeah, absolutely.
Penn
And
State.
Nebraska. So let me just go with you in this. What's next for the Big Ten? And do Oregon and Washington satisfy some sort of criteria? Virginia, wherever, what do you see happening with the Big Ten?
Well, there was an article that came out today said they're vetting 10 teams. I do believe it's right here.
Wow. Does this mean super conferences? 2 of them?
Right. Is it, or is it this one right here? Okay. Here it is right here. So they were vetting 10 teams, obviously West Coast, and I think they're looking like what you were thinking.
Yeah, those
Georgia Tech, Virginia, Duke.
Yeah.
So these are programs that are high academic. I think they want superiority across the country, coast to coast, corner to corner. They have the TV coverage, and if anyone's watching the game right now, they are promoting the heck out of Saturday night Big Ten on NBC and Peacock. So I think they're trying to stay one step ahead of the SEC. I like your analogy, Rob, with F1 and NASCAR. F1's worldwide, whereas NASCAR is, they're kind of sticking to, they're starting to branch out a little bit. But I think that the Big Ten wants to be the king when it comes to college football.
Well,
and
sorry.
Go ahead, Rob. I was going to give you final.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, like, in a weird way, could we be going back to the pre-BCS era where it's like
error is the right word, actually.
The Big 12 or the Big 10 crowns their champion, the SEC crowns their champion, and they don't play again. I think there's a danger in these conferences fighting so much against each other that they're not working together on the greater good.
I mean,
I don't know if it'll go that far back, because obviously you're looking at a 12-team playoff coming up next year. So, and for that reason,
but hold on. That 12-team playoff was premised on there being conferences, and it's all just changed. So there's no more Pac-12. So everything, it's all changing so dramatically. I'm not sure anything is set in stone.
No, I mean, probably not. I mean, clearly,
because the Pac-12 won't have a seat at the table.
Yeah, no.
There's
maybe this year, but that'll be it. But clearly, with the Big Ten looking at schools additions, I think that tells you right there that nothing's set in stone. So
the Big Ten is by far being the most aggressive and the most profitable.
Progressive, and
especially if they can get Oregon and Washington at half price for their revenue sharing, that's a steal.
Washington
cut you off. Well, I don't want to cut off Tom. He's nice. Go ahead, Tom.
Washington, the regents were meeting tonight. So I think Oregon and Washington is inevitable. I think you're at least going to get to. I keep hearing Clemson, but then I also hear Clemson to the SEC. So I think it's going to come down to.
It makes more sense to the SEC.
Yeah,
Clemson's got Clemson has a
TV
hard
contract.
portal. No, because South Carolina has veto rights, and so that's why Florida State, Clemson have never been able to, or Louisville, because each state school one of them can veto the other state going in. The only exception was Texas A&M and Texas coming in, so they didn't have the grandfather rights in. So it all 12 or 14 schools now have to sign in on South Carolina or Clemson or Florida State coming in.
And
we'll trade you the Rutgers, and we'll take it.
Yeah.
As an Indian and in New Jersey, there's a lot of us there. That's a great school, and we believe in academic synergy in the Big Ten. So, yeah, fuck up. No, you're a Big Ten guy. Sorry. No, final word on the Big Ten before we get in. Before we get in into like our kind of fun fantasy, the start of our hodgepodge, is that logistically speaking, and I've said this many times, USC and UCLA can't travel across the globe every week, and nor can Big Ten teams do the same. So it does make sense in many respects that, say, a Michigan and Ohio State both come out the way we did in rest in peace Pac-12. Was there were 2 Arizona schools, 2 LA schools, the mountain schools, Colorado and Utah, 2 Bay Area. So one would play, like in basketball, USC would play one on Thursday and UCLA would play the other. They'd switch on Saturday. Logistically speaking, it makes a lot of sense to expand to the Northwest.
Raj, question for you. I think Utah is the most powerful brand not accounted for right now. Do you agree or disagree?
I disagree.
Arizona?
I disagree. Are we meaning Oregon and Washington are out of the picture?
Yeah. Oregon, Washington are gone.
Probably.
No, I would agree with that. I would say that's a very loyal television watching state in general. Now, BYU runs the state. They have their own network.
Well, there's nothing else to do there.
Utah has a very
Utah's the best home field advantage.
Rice Eccles is insane.
Yeah.
They always seem to get us on Friday night. I would absolutely agree with that. Yes, that is the case. And that, with Colorado gone, there's always a sense of symmetry. Do you want another school with them? I don't know. We'll see. But yes, after that, you're absolutely right. Utah brings quite a bit to the table in pretty much every major sport. Moving on, though.
To your point, real quick, Raj, on the expansion, why would the Big Ten not go after more West Coast teams? For your point exactly, for the travel. Now there's more options. And
they're going to have 2 years of guinea pigs to figure it out.
Sure. So, now there's more teams on the West Coast. Maybe go and
they can play that way.
And hit 2 or 3 teams on the West Coast before you travel back. So
it doesn't solve the time zone problem, though.
I mean, that never has SC. Every West Coast team, whenever we go to a
TV deals,
start at 9 a.m., we fucking lose the game. But it is what it is.
I promise. You can ask me and Tom if Ohio State or Michigan is playing USC at 9:00 at night. We're tuning in. I promise.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah,
and
I'm not missing that.
And that's another.
What about if Michigan's playing Stanford?
Well, as Rob knows, though, that's 6:00 on the West Coast. Half our fans are in fucking traffic. Meanwhile, everybody else is there. But no.
Yeah, go ahead. Move on. Sorry.
All right, Fantasy Hodge Podge.
It's a great point, Rob. You're not hosting. Shut the fuck up. No, I'm just kidding. Joking. I'm trying to say that. Well, Fantasy Hodgepodge. Let's explain this. We wanted to kind of have an informal approach to introduce fantasy football to our show. It's something we all take very seriously. For those that don't know, I am originally from Southern California, which obviously I say all the time, and shit around me is everywhere. And I've been a part of 30 different leagues. When I moved to Tennessee, I was fortunate enough to be a part of a particular fantasy football league with 2 members of the panel, the lower 2 white guys with hats on that are in it. Hopefully Tom would be there someday, but Tom's going to be pretty good. And it's the best fantasy football league I've ever been in. They have a live draft. We have a live draft. the Davises, our sponsors, an attorney. The law firm has property near a lake, and it's just probably one of the best days of the year, if not the best. And I love this league, and I went from first to worst last year. I've been in it 5 years, been in the finals 3 years, 2 championships, playoffs every year except last year where I didn't get last.
You wrote that down on your whiteboard, didn't you?
What's that?
You wrote that on your whiteboard. You were just up there looking.
No, I didn't have to write
wrote that on your whiteboard.
That's one of the few things. The few things I remember is that I'm actually like.
When Raj is doing this, he's reading his whiteboard, and he just wrote down his fantasy 5-year track right there.
What I had to write was I didn't get last place. I got second to last, which was fucking embarrassing. But no, I mean that kind of goes into our. It's funny. We had 3 questions that we're gonna get into quickly. Number 1 was, hypothetically, what are you going to do in round 3, 12-team PPR snake draft? The next would be QBs, tier 2, 6 through 10. Who would you pick? And finally, how can you get fucked in fantasy football as someone who won the championship, who basically got last place, second to last? I can answer that. But let's start out randomly. 12-team PPR. Third round. So it's gone down and back on a snake draft. I'm going to start. Let's start with Rob, because you just never know with Rob. Rob, are you drafting a quarterback in this round if the right guy is there? And if so, whom?
So I thought you were going to come with me. So I looked at ESPN mock drafts. So I'm third, so I'm coming back. I've got Deebo Samuel at 38 or Jerry Jeudy at 44. So I'm looking at one of those. We're in a PPR league, obviously. So
since when have you done research, dude? I think 1 year you drafted a guy that wasn't even in the league anymore. Was that Michael Vick? Who was that?
Hey, don't you worry about my past. And just a little side note. Yes, our fantasy league is very competitive, and you'll never meet 12 friends that distrust people anymore on everything. It could be like, hey, can you move my car from spot A to spot B? And be like, oh no, you can't touch my car. You're gonna move it. You're gonna drive it to the lake. It is an intense league. I have won in 2005. That's my championship banner. Getting it ordered to my house.
Before Tom was born, for the record.
Yeah, we're coming up on 2 decades here, boys. Since the last time
before I was born.
Who was in that league back then? I was and like your dog.
I was in it, and I drafted 97 Titan players.
That was the best.
Never played fantasy in my life.
That was the best. The Shane would just donate his money. But no, I'm gonna go. I go Deebo Samuel and or Jerry Jeudy in that 3rd round pick.
I can't believe you researched, Tom. There's a saying. I've violated a lot of my principles, and one of them, I'm not going to say what it is, although I sucked last year. But is it
River City Media?
Is it? No joke, man. I think there was a Leonard Weaver comment who was like a fullback for the Eagles back in the day who destroyed his leg. That's got to be Randall.
And we're not allowed to trade. You got to mention that. We're not allowed to make trades.
We're not allowed
trades.
No, we're not allowed.
We just don't trust each other.
The problem is Robandel tries to trade these terrible trades when one of them's tanking and the other one's trying to make a push for the playoffs. They trade their best player.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Terrible.
We have veto power, but going forward, Tom, let me ask you this: in the 3rd round, is there a situation from a standard PPR where you can justify drafting a quarterback?
Only if maybe the top 2 or 3 available. Mahomes, a Hurts, quarterbacks that are going to get you yardage on the ground, that are going to possibly score touchdowns with their legs, not only with just throwing. So I only think maybe a Lamar, maybe. So those three, if available, and it kind of depends on what you did in the first 2 rounds. So I think those are the only situations where you would go that early for a quarterback.
We had a temporary player last year with we're not going to say why he was temporary, with a brilliant smoking voice that should be on the radio. Arden, with a Georgia Bulldog tattoo on his leg. I don't think he went to Georgia, but it doesn't matter because he's pretty fucking gangster. He picked up Justin Fields on the free agent on the wire. He ended up being an amazing pickup down the stretch. Would you consider Justin Fields as one of your top 5 fantasy quarterbacks? Let's just say under the right settings.
No.
I mean, probably not, because I don't trust their offensive line. I don't think he could take another season of abuse that he took last year, and he doesn't do enough with his arm. So I from what I see right now, can that change? It could, but right now, from what I've seen, and I don't think Chicago's addressed their offensive line the way they need to. So he can't do it all himself. So probably not.
Yeah, Raj, if I may. So ESPN has Joe Burrow as a 5, the 5th best quarterback. Brandon, what's Joe Burrow?
A bum.
A bum. Yes, he is. He's a bum. Don't pick
he didn't
a bum with a calf injury right now. So
Yeah.
he's going to slide.
He's a fantasy bum, not a bum in general.
Someone dumb
sure.
like Clipper Clay will draft him.
That's the thing.
Joe Burrow's a bum.
Hey, I would take Justin Fields over Joe Burrow fantasy-wise. Legit.
I would too, but some flip side and background is that if I were Chain, I'd be bummed out too. Joe Burrow was all Ohio State. He goes to LSU for 1 year, and he becomes like the best college quarterback ever.
I'm not bummed out about it. I mean,
I would be. I'd be
Urban Meyer was
a
both
dipshit.
great and the stupidest person at the same time, which is hard to beat.
Any Bengals quarterback sucks. Andy Dalton, Burrow, they're all bums. You go play in Cincinnati.
Hey, don't hate on Big Red. Don't hate on Big Red.
Oh, don't get me started.
It's QBR, by the way, Joe Burrow last year, almost 4,500 yards, 35 TDs, 12 picks. 10th in the NFL in QBR. But moving forward, Chain, we had talked about it'd be fun to talk about a QB you'd pick from 6 through 10. Meaning that like the 6th best QB through the 10th. I'm not going to include Justin Herbert where I've seen that, but who is a quarterback that's under the radar, but not super under the radar, not like a Richardson or any of those guys, but who is a guy that can win you a championship, tier 2 quarterback, 6 through 10? And I'm not even talking about Josh Allen. I'm talking about
yeah.
Like who I'm talking about.
So I've got 2 in mind right now. One is going to be Trevor Lawrence. I think with his arm talent, they solidified the offensive line a little better. They've added some pieces. Trevor Lawrence could be a surprising outbreak this year. And then I also like the massage man himself, Deshaun Watson.
Rub and tug.
Wow. This guy.
He's got a lot of built up energy.
He's got a lot of aggression. He's got to get out, and that equates to firing footballs down the field and touchdowns. So
he's going to blow that football down the field.
He's right outside, right in 9 or 10 spot. But I think if you're feeling lucky, take a flyer on him. I think it could work out for you.
Hey, if you're feeling lucky.
I think we murdered that analogy. They got a great O-line.
We're here all night, boys.
Yeah. By the way, who is Deshaun Watson's backup, Rob? Former Tennessee quarterback?
Josh Dobbs.
Joshua Dobbs is his
actually, he was 3rd string tonight. It was Mullen.
Kellen Mond, a
Kellen
former
Mond.
Duck who transferred, and then DTR, Dorian Thompson-Robinson.
Isn't that sad that he started for us last year?
And he didn't do too bad. He didn't do bad.
Well, he did.
No,
better than me.
I mean, he
That's
wasn't
bad.
terrible. Before I go to Rob on the final question on how you can get fucked, who's just going to basically tell his strategy in general.
Which is getting fucked the whole way through.
Yeah, it's inadvertent for him. But Tom, same question about 6 through 10. Or actually, you know what? Let's expand. Who's a gem that maybe you can get as your backup? Sometimes I've actually done this. Is picked in like the 9th and 10th round in a snake and went quarterback. And it's worked out. Who is a gem 6 through 10 or maybe 10 through 15, 15 through 20? Who's a guy that you're looking at? And I'm going to take 2 names away from you, 3 names. 4. No Goff, no Rodgers, no Tua.
Well, I was going to pick Goff because I think
I knew you were going to pick
he was
Goff.
the one. I'm going to give you a name. Matthew Stafford. I think if he's healthy, along with his wife's lookalike, Cooper, 2 girls, 1 cup, being healthy, that's a dangerous tandem. So for fantasy wise, I don't think the Rams are going to do a whole lot. But for fantasy wise, for a backup sleeper, if healthy, Matthew Stafford, which I think the Rams are hoping for that because they're probably looking to try and offload him some way and offload some of that contract. So, yeah,
that hurt. By the way, if anybody has ever seen that or not seen it, don't. If you've ever heard of 4 girls finger paint, definitely don't fucking see that, which means everybody's going to go see it. That's the fucking worst I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot of bad shit. Shane, you had something, no pun intended. Shane, you had something to say about that comment on a later round quarterback.
All right, so if you're going for a number 2 with super high upside, take a shot at Anthony Richardson. He's had great rapport.
This is why I love Brandon's free money.
I'm telling you.
I love Brandon's free money. I
Listen.
can't tell you, chain money spends the best of all money.
Listen.
a little bit of breaking news. A little bit of breaking news here. Per our good buddy Tim, sorry to interrupt. Arizona is in deep discussions to join the Big 12.
Well, Arizona and
that's a Southwest thing. Yeah, that does make sense.
Listen,
that's a good point.
Look,
great.
It's a second quarter. Like you never plan on starting a guy, but high upside, like having that guy potentially, he's going to be a terrible quarterback for the Colts, but with his legs potentially,
literally, chain money spends the easiest.
It's like a Fields guy.
You can just take the 100 and just give it to the cashier, and it doesn't even feel bad.
You were the worst fantasy player I've ever seen in my life. Like, I don't even know why you're even speaking on this.
He's got a point
you should
there.
Be muted this entire topic.
And as a host, I got to say we're running a little long. Rob is good at shutting us up, but I think Shane had to make an important point that Rob, you should probably should not give your input on that.
I have a championship.
I'm giving you the last point is
yes.
How can you get F'd in fantasy football and drafting? And I'm going to say early rounds, top 7 rounds. How can you get fucked?
I know how.
So when you put this question out here, I looked into it and I dug deep into it. And
you shouldn't have to.
Not only did I dig deep into it, I lived it. Don't pass up on Kelsey. Just don't do it. I did it last year.
You took Mark Andrews.
Yes. And the difference between Kelsey is 9th overall and 46th overall. And
that would be a good pickup this year.
That's a huge gap. So don't do that. Don't do it. Just don't.
There's a reason why they traded Tyreek Hill and not Kelsey.
No,
and he is blown away with fantasy
hold
football.
on. River City Media, Randall, don't you talk about my zero running back strategy. That's proprietary information. I'm doing it again this year.
It's proprietary in the sense we all know not to do it, but that's a great point. Anyone else? Final question. Mistakes you've made in the top 6-7 rounds. Not you, Rob. You can go on for like 5 hours.
I've drafted 5 quarterbacks.
Don't draft. Don't draft.
Defense, you have like 38 beers, but go ahead, Tom.
Don't draft based on best available. Think outside the box. Look at matchups. Look at bye weeks. Look at contract years. Those are big things to look at for players that are playing for money. They usually tend to have higher stats that year. So I think a lot of people get caught up on the, I'm number 8. I'm taking the 8th best player. That may not be the case. Kind of think outside the box with your draft.
Last in our league, you have no idea how to play.
To add to that point, Tom,
I've been playing fantasy football for 30 years. I'm very versed.
There's wild cards.
To add to your point,
kickers go third.
Draft based on your.
I did. Hold on. I'm gonna address Randall's quote. I'm gonna address this right here. Yes, I did lose to a girl, but one caveat: her fiance or her boyfriend, JP, is kind of a pretty good fantasy football player. So yes and no, Randall.
Hey, no.
We're not sexist or misogynistic.
Hold on.
Much better than boys, as evidenced by Rob.
Time out. Randall doesn't talk shit. We all lost to a girl also. Caroline beat us all in our league because Alan doesn't draft anything.
It's Carolyn. She's been here for like 6 years. Her name's Carolyn.
Caroline, what's the difference?
She's not officially part of the league, but she just won the league.
No, listen. Also, look, caveat on top of Tom's. Don't draft and look at your filling a position on your starting roster and be like, well, I got 1 running back and I need 3 wide receivers. Don't draft according to that. Do your research, because you'll just screw it all up if you do that and draft best available. It's dumb.
My final point before we get into Bet Your Nuts is that stay away from potential. I know we like to see now maybe not in a case like Bijan Robinson or a guy that's just a stud back that's going to get the ball a ton, although Algier is there. But, sometimes we see a guy that's going to fit and we pick that guy and we're like, oh, yeah, he's going to crush it. No, the proof is in the pudding. So just be realistic is my point, and draft for value overall. And again, not by position or anything else. Finally, let's get
Rob, how many championships has Randall won?
0 that I know.
That's right.
But he's like 80, so I don't know. He's probably won 1 in 1934 or something. I don't know.
Not in this league.
Randall came in with a lot of hopes and a lot of just aggressiveness about his intelligence, and then now he's in Waffle House.
Yeah, he's again the Wizard of Oz.
You two need to go to Waffle House and see if you eat
that's when he was last good. All right, we're gonna now go into Tom. I think we've got a nice clip for this.
It's time for Bet Your Nuts.
My favorite is Bud Bundy right there in the beginning, looking at the phone of that other dude. Bud Bundy's the best. I know how he feels. I'm going to go first quickly tomorrow night. I love the Cardinals minus 170 against the Rockies. That's Adam Wainwright, even though he's got a 7 ERA. The Rockies are dead in the water. Flexen is starting. He's 0-5 with an 8+ ERA. So take the Cardinals, the money line. The odds won't be great, but that's free. money. Next, we will go to Chain.
Shocker, going with golf here at the Wyndham Championship. I like my boy JT Poston. JT Poston is tied for 5th currently. He is plus 210 to finish in the top 5, which is a solid bet. I mean, that's going to happen. But throw a little money on him to win it at plus 800. Love this dude. This is a lesser field. Not to say that his talent's not up there. He's been playing well this year. Know his caddy, play golf with him a lot. Fleener, great dude.
I like his caddy.
Yeah, Fleener's great. But JT's been playing well. So JT Poston, throw a little money, top 5, plus 210. Throw a little on plus 800 to win it all.
Tom?
I'm going to go futures here. We're about a month away, just under a month away from the start of college football season. So we're going to go all the way to the end of the season, the college football playoff.
Whoa. Let's write this down. Rob, are you writing this down?
So,
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
per FanDuel, plus 3,000 currently. The Georgia Bulldogs, Alabama Roll Tide, the team down south, and the University of Michigan, all to make the college football playoff, plus 3,000. The big four.
You're parlaying that?
No, that's one bet on FanDuel.
I like that.
Wait, what? Okay.
Yeah. It's a futures I guess you would call it a parlay, but
that's team one down south? Are you saying all four or just
Ohio State?
The
Ohio State and Michigan both make it.
The team south.
Wait,
my
hold on. To
The only
clarify,
team.
you're betting Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, and Michigan.
State and
All four make the playoffs?
To make the playoff, yes.
On the 14 playoff?
On this year. This
Yeah,
year.
I'll be your bookie. That won't happen. I'll be your bookie.
I agree in a few respects. But the one thing I'll say about that is this is the last year that Ohio State and Michigan get to play that game early. And it's kind of a way to kind of both of them sneak in based on what happens later in the year, just like a la last year. But yeah, I don't think a 4-star quarterback in Carson Beck at Georgia is going to do that. For them, watch out for them losing one or two.
God almighty.
That's going on later.
I think they lose to the Vols.
Rob,
Kneeling.
your turn. Bet
To
your
be
nuts.
So look,
And I hate the Vols, but
look, I have been bad, really bad this year. But
in your defense, racing is fucking hard, dude. You're picking one dude out of 40 or whatever.
They're in Michigan this weekend. Michigan is a wild track. The favorite 6-1. I'm going a little bit further back. I think Harvick at 8-1 is a good bet.
Last year.
Oh my
Yeah. I think he's the third favorite.
He's got to be like 50.
I'm going Harvick 8-1. And then so NASCAR track again. I'm gonna be.
Robbie just picked a 50-year-old to win the race in Michigan. Congratulations!
I'm gonna be at the casino on Sunday to watch it.
So we
nothing
decided
wrong
to
with
go
50-year-olds,
fund for Robbie's
Shane.
gambling.
Yeah.
Go with
Fuck
Dick
up,
Trickle.
Shane. Nothing wrong with 50-year-olds. I'm 47, and Tom's like 46, I think.
Almost.
Is that what you said?
Well,
I'll be 46.
there's nothing
in a
wrong
couple
with
months.
50-year-olds, but
You're
50-year-olds
fucking old,
trying
bro.
to win a race in NASCAR. It's
Well, that's okay because
You know
it's not
what, Brandon, I can't wait to count my money in front of you. I'll just make it rain.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right there. And, I'm going to stop here starting out. You gotta warn me before you do that against him.
Sorry.
But final words.
We're out of control.
Let's stick with Rob here. No, dude, I think we're on fire. Let's go to final words. Here comes the graphic. Oh shit, did I fuck it up, Tom? I'm sorry.
You're
Final
good.
words,
You're
Rob.
good.
We're starting with you.
Yeah, so Hey, for me, and talking to you guys, really more so than the crowd, it's been great to change roles and be a talking head as opposed to host. And I think we're going to do this more in the future. We're going to all rotate being hosts and talking people. I enjoyed tonight. It's been a change for me. And hey, I love the show, and we keep growing and growing and keep seeing better. Tom, obviously, always thank you. And then Brandon, you and I just sit here and just we're the audience.
I don't even know why I'm here.
Yeah. But thank you guys, and thanks people that are watching. Like, subscribe, please help us. Football season's around the corner, and that's going to be fantastic.
Absolutely, Tom.
I'm going to stay close to home, and if you saw the little graphic earlier or the nameplate earlier, Lions season ticket holder, this is the first year in Ford Field's history that they sold out completely for season tickets for the upcoming season.
Wow.
There is so much hype in this town for the lovable Leos, or as our good buddy Rich Jasper calls them, the Pontiac Pussycats, even though they are in Detroit now. But it's exciting, and it's so exciting that my wife and I decided, you know what, I want to get in on that, and I'm glad we did, because there's already a waiting list brewing up for next year. So you got to put a deposit down if you want to even get a chance for next year. So we're in. We would get our opportunity next year, but it's just so exciting. And Raj and I did a show the other day. If you haven't checked it out, it's the MLB trade deadline special we did. It was a lot of fun. And
good show.
My name was a disgruntled Tiger fan, because that's about how the fan base has been in this town. And for the first time since 1991, there's potential for the Detroit Lions. So I love it. I'm eating the cornbread, drinking the Honolulu Blue Kool-Aid. So forward down the field, baby. Let's go.
I'm on Raw, baby. I'm on Raw. I'm all about the Lions. I'm on Raw, the Sun God. Hell yeah. I'm going to go quickly before we end with Brandon Chain. Along the same lines, our friend Barrett Brightwell, who actually played tight end at the University of Tennessee in Chattanooga, knows everyone here well. He actually texted me and was like, I love the trade deadline show. Something really needs to be said, and he's absolutely right, about two historic seasons happening right now. One with Shohei just being Shohei. It's a single name that is a verb, an adjective. It's just like, if you go to the club and you bring a girl home, you went Shohei on her. Like it's everything.
Front and back.
I'm way out of the game on that one.
Yeah, I didn't think I had to explain it further, but the other one, it's like I missed the club. No,
live goal.
The other person is, I'm hesitant to praise Atlanta Braves Nation, Braves country, but Ronald Acuna Jr. and Barrett was absolutely right. Right now he's sitting at like 51 stolen bases and 25, 30 home runs. He's right around Freeman at 330 plus. I mean, this is a guy who conceivably could be a 40-80 guy is what Barrett said, like 40 home runs and 80 stolen bases, which would be beyond unprecedented. It just would blow the mind. My concern with him is how much they utilize him with, how much he runs and everything he does. I mean, he's got probably the best hose in all of baseball from right field. Just a phenomenal player. And these are historic players. And we're talking about a game that's been shortened with probably the best talent it's ever had. And after the trade deadline, I mean, baseball is a beautiful, beautiful game. I'm touched. My kid, who's 9, loves it more than any other sport. Now, I probably like watching football. I played basketball, but I think it says a lot that a younger generation is still in love with the game, and I think it's only going to get better, and the fan base is going to grow further. After that, oh no, now what? Go ahead. We're already at fucking an hour and a half.
I was going to say, I'm happy Barrett's still alive.
Yes, he is alive. He just doesn't like you. Just kidding.
Well, yeah, who does?
No. Just kidding. I think he reads like we have a huge thread, but he texts me occasionally.
It's very small.
I mean, that's acceptable. Finally, we are ending the show. Final words, last call. I'm not going to say anything more, so you're going to close us out as well. Brandon Chang.
Oh, man. That was a fun show tonight, boys. Raj, that was a nice little interjection there with the new host. I think, like Robbie said, I think we're going to change it up. You know, Robbie likes to be a talking head. Raj, we can never get to stop talking, but eventually he will. Hosting is helpful. It's kind of a coping mechanism.
First time ever. I was on time.
Just now, 30 minutes.
This is how we get Raj on time, is when he's the host. So maybe he
can do it.
Outwill us all. But no, it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to this NFL season, boys. We've got a lot of great content coming up, so please like and subscribe. We're going to kill it this whole NFL season, and any other sport, off topic, whatever. We're random, we're crazy, we're entertaining. So like, subscribe. We love it. Love you guys, and thanks for watching us.
Well, I will say one final thing, real quick.
One more. Here we go.
One more question for attorney. I will say this. So football season starting. Raj and I, huge college basketball fans. So from football season till the Final Four, we'll be here every weekend with stuff to talk about. Ready to go.
I think you might need to look up what final word means.
Yeah, thanks for your input. Everybody, we appreciate it. For those who don't know, our views and engagements are in the thousands and hundreds of thousands over the month. So thank you, everyone. Keep watching. Explain the concept of reels. Hit subscribe. All that stuff on the right-hand side. And, yeah, man, more content is coming. So thank you all. Oh, my God.
And Tom Sloan with the production. Look at these graphics.
Yeah. Oh, we should have like the closing production. Tom Sloan editing. Tom Sloan. Everything. Tom. Just Tom. Everything.
He's not Sean Payton, dude. He is not. He doesn't need self-promotion. He's not Sean Payton. And on that note, thank you, everyone.
See you guys.
We're out.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Reckless Speculation. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube, searching Reckless Speculation. Catch us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. We look forward to catching you right here next week with another exciting episode of Reckless Speculation.